I'll just look on all their team pages and I'll just divvy them up that way.
Yeah, because at some point I gotta check that against all the checks. Make sure everyone actually did it.
Yeah. So we could probably shoot out an email to
I mean-
the upper and lower managers.
Yeah, I think last year I just even looked at all the rosters.
But I think like mine has probably 4 or 5 coaches, and then obviously I can't have 5 coaches, and one of the coaches will go towards another team.
We'll figure it out. Good evening. How is everyone? Great. He's always excited and happy to be here. John, you good on attendance? Everyone accounted for? Yep. Perfect. Anybody have anything for open forum? Do we have any public input? Okay, moving along to reports. John, go ahead.
I make a motion to approve the January minutes as presented in the email that was sent out last week.
Amanda seconds. Favor? Good. Alright. Melissa? She's right now.
She's right ordering
Well,
food.
yeah.
Just gotta hydrate.
Well, we'll skip ahead, let Dave give us the District 8 report and then.
Pretty brief, I guess game sheet's gonna be going up $8 a game next year. But, heard talk to Squirt B2, they're still looking for a host, but I heard that's being addressed later, so. That's all I got.
Yeah, no, so it's same story with Squirt B2 every year, right? They're looking for somebody to host the district tournament. It's same week and weekend as the state tournament for all the youth levels. I think with our resources going into this 15B regional right now, that trying to take on and add another tournament is not in our best interest. I think we could scramble and maybe find the ice time, but the volunteers, the concessions, all of the other stuff, I just don't know. Is there anybody, I know Tina's interested in doing it and totally get it. Is there anyone else that would be interested in tackling that and trying to make it happen? There is the option that score box and all that stuff can be handled by the teams participating. Just still feels like something where somebody from our group is going to have to manage that and be there to ensure it happens or fill in for them when they don't.
Yeah, we would need to have somebody, do check-in, and then just kind of obviously just be like a tournament director. And we would only be hosting a flight, so Cottage Grove would host the other flight, so we'd split up the Squirt B2 district tournament.
And when is it? What are the dates?
It's March 3rd through the 10th. When you're in Minnetonka.
Yeah, March 3rd through the 10th. State boys tournaments that weekend. I think so, right? Yeah. Should be very good. We'll be coming off having the 15B regional here. I don't know. I'm not a believer, but I could be convinced if there's a group of kids that wants to take it on and do it.
I mean, if it means they go without, I think we figure it out, but.
You know, that's the threat every year. Last year, the high seed hosted all their games and they got through it. Cause I remember there was a Squirt B1 playoff game at our rink, and I'm like, where'd that come from? We came down to high seed.
I mean, I just think probably scrambled that week with regions or districts
Yeah.
or.
Well, right, I mean, cause some of us with that region weekend are gonna be gone at regions. Not myself, but others might still, so we're probably spread pretty thin going into that. It's going to take everybody stepping in to come help us with the goals that weekend.
What resources is the district willing to offer for somebody to do this?
Basically they was saying that they could have the teams work the clock, the box, and the iPad.
So not family, just make the teams do everything.
They'd make the teams do, we would have to be responsible for check-in, making sure the iPads are charged, and that the refs are there and getting paid.
Securing the ice, collecting everybody's entry fee to make sure we get reimbursed for our ice.
Has Dakota even looked to see if there's any availability?
We do have availability between both rinks, and she was thinking we could possibly piggyback up the U12B2, cause Burnsville, Apple Valley's hosting that in Burnsville. That we could possibly piggyback off of what they're doing.
Do we have to decide the second?
No.
Probably.
No,
No, 'cause
I had,
they're gonna email every day this week, like, we're gonna have to cancel it, we're gonna have to cancel it, we're gonna have, it's,
means Zach would like an answer back by tomorrow.
Who's Zach?
He's
The district eight
the
tournament.
tournament director, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hate for a kid to miss out on that.
Well, I mean,
no feelings.
that's just it, right? But if they split it up, maybe a bigger, or an association that has more ice, maybe they could take on the other play.
I
If they're
just
gonna
think
split it up,
with
they
our
can split it up.
resources that we have available, we sit and wait, if they come to us and be like, hey, we've got all but 3 games figured out, can you find us 3 hours of ice? Yeah, we'll find you 3 hours of ice. But right now, they're looking for somebody to say, okay, we've got it, they're gonna send you a bunch of information and some trophies and say it's all yours. And I just don't think we have the resources to tackle that right now.
Understood.
We don't.
But come Sunday, when they go, okay, we've got half the games are gonna be here, we literally just need the 2 Sunday games, then we'll figure out a way to find some ice. Cause, yeah, nobody wants kids to not play.
Okay, just keep us posted, I guess.
So much for being brief, huh, Dave?
Yeah.
Alright, jumping back, treasurer's report, please.
So I sent out financials for January, any questions? Then, motion to approve January financials as presented in the email.
Not you.
Second.
Amy seconds it. Should I just do that like 2 more times?
Oh, it's just
That's just one more thing.
one more meeting.
Alright, Emily.
Okay, so
Did
we
we
have
actually
to.
vote, or did
Oh,
we just
no,
second?
favor. Thank you.
Alright, so we have to go back because we did not,
Some vote ever not pass.
so we did not have numbers for last month, so we have to go back. So the expenses for December were $62,350.36, so motion to approve.
Second.
Favor?
Alright.
Good.
Quick question. How come we only just put it in expenses right there? Would it be beneficial to go expenses and,
I think we
Profit.
just have to, we could, because Desiree sends that out, I think we just have to approve the expenses.
got it,
It has to go to vote,
makes sense, I get it.
I don't think we need to vote on profit, you know what I mean?
Expenses are controllable.
Yeah, yeah.
Profit are not.
And then, motion to approve up to $72,000 for January gambling expenses,
Second.
and then up to we gotta vote on that again, right?
Good.
And then motion to approve up to $72,000 for February gambling expenses.
Second.
Hands coming back up, perfect, thank you. Do we have January's expenses to approve? Or is we backlog to December? You approve, we have to project, we have January's finals to approve.
Oh, yeah, the 71,572
Yeah, is the final.
is the final, yeah.
We skipped that one.
Skipped it.
Oh.
So,
So, motion to approve, what was it, I can't see.
January one.
January, $71,572.14 for January's expenses.
But it-
Motion to approve, Melissa.
You second.
Favor? Thank you. Can't forget the first one, not the third.
Sorry.
All good. All right, new business. topics. I don't know who, entered these ones, but let's go.
I think the top one was playing time, is that what it was?
Yes, playing time for upper level teams.
Yeah,
Or
so,
top teams.
yeah, I just wanna have discussion around that, I know it's equal, with the exception of power plays, penalty kills, right? But when you have 12 kids or 11 kids, that's not really a play that a coach can do, and I know that we're running into problems where kids are like, that starts at 8 and that's past my bedtime, so I'm just not gonna go to practice, or that's in Shattuck, so I'm not gonna show up for all of the Shattuck practices, and that's not fair either for the kids and the parents who are making the investment, so I think it's worth discussing, broadening the terminology or the words to be able to allow coaches on top teams for upper levels to restrict playing time based off of non-excused absences. It's been a real problem for us. I mean, if you can just, I mean, I don't know how many Shattuck practices, but it's every other week for the entire season, you miss it because it was late. I mean, that's not an excuse. At least not to me. I mean, and then other kids who have been there for every single practice, every single optional practice, and then they get the same amount of playing time. That's not fair either for those kids. It sends a very dangerous message. So, I don't know. I just wanted to get it out there. It's been pretty frustrating. When we have 3 or 4 kids every practice, I don't go to anything after 8 o'clock if it starts. And then they're expected to get even playing time, and that's just not right.
So, first question I'll ask on that is, where would you define top teams? Just the top team at each level, just advancing level teams, which at that point, it doesn't even apply to sport U10.
Yeah, I think it would be the top team at each level. So in the case of sports this year, it would be B1. In case of 10U girls, it would be B1 this year. It's one and only, I get it, but I think that we need to be able to give coaches the ability to have rules and accountability for players, even at a young level.
I would go a step further. I love what you're saying. I don't think it should just be limited to the top teams. Like, it should be our teams. When you commit to something, it can't be that it's too late, or it can't be that it's too windy, or
Hey,
right.
hey, hey, hey.
I mean, if we want to create a culture,
For the Vikings, they don't fall off.
if we want to create a culture, we go across the board. You know, and I do believe that coaches should have leeway that when it becomes a habitual problem to not play kids.
It's not really official.
I agree with that.
No.
And that's-
Every
but
kid,
the-
every parent, every team.
Yeah, it's every team.
Well, the
Every
parents
kid
Keywords
makes
in
an
that,
effort,
Yeah,
every
right.
if they
kid
miss
makes a
one,
sacrifice.
but I don't think any coaches are gonna be, they might be, right? And that's where we've gotta leave some room for board to step in if the coach is not making the right decision. But, yeah, at the end of the day, you wanna have a competitive team, but you're not at practice, so now only half your team knows what to do. And that is very difficult to work on and with things. I like the idea in every way, shape, and form. Just gotta make sure that we word it and layer it where there's some discretion, but there's some realistic expectations, and it's, cause forever, and Mike can speak to this cause he's been doing this forever. In the past, the answer's been, are they up to date on their ice bill? Tough cookie. But it's deeper, cause it's not just about that one kid, now it's the other 11 kids that their ability to play together as a team is being impacted if it's consistent and repetitive absences.
Did you have conversations with those parents by chance?
Yeah, and I mean, if going to Shattuck, we have 3 coaches who go to everything. So between our 3 SUVs, we can, literally no parent ever has to drive there. So it's really a pretty ridiculous excuse in my mind. And you can tell those kids are not excelling at this point in the season anymore. You know, they hit Christmas and then that was it. They kind of plateaued and the other kids aren't keeping up because the other kids have put in the extra 12, 15, 16 practices. I mean, it does start to add up after a while.
I don't think it's fair to the parents either, that are constantly driving their kid down to Shattuck, and then they don't get to see their kid play as much as the person who doesn't go. And there's options, we've been doing it forever, you carpool, you find,
Yeah.
rides shouldn't be an excuse.
No, I think we just just need to have faith that we've hired the right people for head coaching positions, that they're gonna be advocates for what we believe in as a group and as our organization, and give them the ability to make those decisions that are right for the group, to maintain that same accountability and class that we're trying to achieve, right, as an organization. So there's just too many, I think there's just too much restrictions on like what a coach can enforce or not enforce, and I would like to see it broadened, but then also make sure that we have the right discussion points to kind of hold the accountability to coaching too, so if we need to step in, we can. But too late, when we have limited ice time, I mean, that's just not, and then it's the same people that are complaining about not getting ice too, so it's like, what is happening here? So, I don't know. We should empower our coaches to be able to make those decisions.
Now, and if you do, does that in turn lead to retaining more coaches?
I think it does.
How many walk
Yeah.
away go, that was cool, but I was literally just the blame guy, I didn't have any power or say in my team. And I thought there was something in there that gave the coaches some discretion beyond just the late game, and it had to do with missing and absences.
Yeah.
So, do you have it up, Scott?
Yeah, I got it, so.
I think it's
It's basically.
too broad to even make a coach feel
Yeah,
empowered.
it basically says it is the coach's responsibility to assure this by using all the players in hockey games. Coaches on upper level teams only are given some discretion to this rule, including a few minutes of a game where attitude problems, missing practices or games or anything outside those are applicable to benching a player. So there is some guidance, but I think to you guys' point, it needs to be rectified and put more.
I think that language needs to be more empowering, otherwise every time somebody skipped, well, I went on an ice fishing trip, but I'm here for the tournament, and coach says, well, you ain't playing the first period, that shouldn't have to turn into a grievance process every time it happens. So, I think dial in, Scott, will you make a note, are you in that live one, make a note, like, let's evaluate that language, and, and you may have to change it there, and then in the player and the parents' responsibilities too, like, you do have a responsibility to this team, yeah, if you're sick, you're not gonna be there, school and family and things like that, but practicing only during the time window that you want to, get it, sucks, we'd all love to have 6:30 PM practices.
I think it's good to have your coaches at the beginning of the year just set the expectations. So
Right.
it's not a surprise when all of a sudden January rolls around, people aren't going to Shattuck.
Right, and that's gonna be the biggest part of it, and that's where you put enough in there that the coaches have that power, but then we tell them coaches, like, hey, you have to cover this in your preseason meeting, let people know what your expectation is. If you miss 3 practices unexcused, you're gonna miss a period. You miss 3 more, you're gonna miss, like, you have, because none of it goes to a grievance or complaint if the expectation is clear and consistent for all players on the team.
Well, while we're talking about coaches, I added a comment into the handbook about head coaches, just for some stuff we dealt with this year, at least I experienced, is that, I know we talk about it at the coaches meeting, but to put in that the head coach does have the power to remove an assistant coach or a manager for conduct detrimental to the team, or that's not upholding the values. We had a few issues at the sport level this year, and so I just think that should be actually in there for the coaches moving forward, and I did write that as a comment.
I think that's a definite issue that we should take a look at. I think it should be more than just the head coach having the ability. I think that has to be a sport coordinator and possibly a coaching committee decision as well. I think that can be driven by the head coach. I think the approval needs to probably come, the agreeance, I guess, needs to come, in my opinion, from someone else besides the head coach. I don't think it should just sit on that. The head coach should get to show their reasoning, like, I gotta get rid of this guy, here's why. Then I think the sport coordinator or the level coordinator and maybe the coaches committee or a select group from the coaches committee could say, yeah, you're right, good day. Or, hey, hang on a second here, let's have a conversation about this.
Yeah, if it's just because the dude doesn't wear socks in his skates, it's not okay, but if you don't.
Some people
like
wear
it-
t-shirts on the ice only. I mean, it's a conversation. I
I
think we
mean,
have to.
from a coach's perspective though, right, we ask our head coaches to do a lot to run and steer these seasons for these kids.
Absolutely.
They should choose who helps them with that. And it could be as simple as he or she is contradicting and not willing to play along and, or wants to be the head coach, is bitter they weren't the head coach and they're undermining that coach, that should be enough.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right? Now, I don't like the way he cuts his hair, yeah, it maybe doesn't cut it, but anything that's, you know, we talk about missing practice being detrimental to a team. Head coach lays out a drill and says, this is how I want you to play this position at this time, and the assistant coach goes, that's rubbish, do something else. That's not good for the kids either. But maybe something with level coordinator has to approve, which happened in this case too, but. Hopefully that's just. But I think it's very fair, to your point, to just, let's write language that empowers the coaches, but then make sure on the back end we're also making, and we try every year, but the coaches need to know that the expectations you set at the beginning and how they're enforced, and making sure they're enforced evenly no matter who the player is, will make all the difference in whether or not they have any problems with that.
Put a comment in there for that, so, depending on how we wanna come back.
Yeah, because you wanna look at wording it in the coaches' expectations, the players, the parents, right? And it might be repetitive language, but, you know, each of them has their expectations and what they have the right to and what is expected of them. So just, you know, making sure we cover it from all angles and that it's understood that, yeah, if the coach's expectation is you come to practice, or you at least call, and, you know, coach can have some discretion what's excused or unexcused. Band concert, I consider that excused. Wow, we skated at 8, that's a little late for me. I get it, it sucks. I'm not saying it's ideal that we have kids on the ice at 9:30 at night, but we're not the only ones that have that problem either.
There's been no school anyway, so.
Well, there's that, but it's not, but the late ice times and the going to Shattuck or going to St. Paul or going wherever else, that's not unique to Farmington. It's not like we have this deal where here it's so different than everywhere else. The same things are happening everywhere else, and they manage these new practices. Right? So, yeah, maybe it isn't even just the top teams. Cool. Is that what the comments to upgrade language, is that the same thing?
Well, I put that in there just because I knew we talked about it. So there's the comments in the handbook that people added. So I don't know if we wanna try to go through each one, or if it's something, to your point, we make the note and then we kick off in March when the new board comes in, like, how do you wanna handle it? Cause I know we talked about it, but then when stuff
Yeah,
came
I
up and.
think you keep it live, right, cause we've already established back in September that we're not interested in changing our handbook as it is today. So I don't think we vote on and change any of those now, but what we have now is that new board comes in and you have a starting point, and things that came up during the season, and they were top of mind and really important, we now have a reminder to go back to them versus, okay, I'm figuring out who I am, how do I work my email account, am I allowed to do this, am I not allowed to do that? Oh yeah, by the way, I've got 1 month to figure out and lay the law of the land down. So I keep it live, but yeah, that first, because then you've got a couple of months with the new board and has the opportunity to absorb, but also has some starting points where the conversations go. But I don't think we need to be approving or changing any of them now. I think that's an active process that continues right up until you're ready to open registration and you finalize the 25-26 year. How's that for kicking the can down the road?
Beautifully done.
But I had to think back to my first year. It's a lot to absorb in that handbook.
Yeah.
And with having some suggestions and seeing what the conversations have been is going to help the new folks in be like, okay, something obviously happened with this rule that on the surface seemed fine, but they're now talking about we need to revisit it. So I think it positions us to give it the better diligence and, you know, like we talked about, the whole idea behind it is, if we're gonna live and die by this thing, we need to also have room that as a board, we make the tough decisions, is that's kind of what we're elected to do. And it's more than just once, sign the handbook, and say, okay, we're done, we're not gonna wiggle anymore. to share the?
I didn't put it
last
in,
thought you
but,
had had though?
the last thing I sent it to everybody, I sent it to the board, that, the phrase I sent. I didn't get much feedback on it, so assuming no one really cares how
Melissa
it's
did.
laid out.
Melissa gave feedback.
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure that we have it kind of clearly outlined in the language as to, so we're not left in a spot where, I guess, we have to make sure there's somebody for each role. And if, I don't remember what my email was exactly on that, but. So I'm thinking like,
'Cause you- I
if
think
you're
you
the
have somebody
VP
that run-
and you're running for president, right? And now, let's say you don't get, you're running against the current president, you outbeat the current president, and now, do we have someone qualified in that VP role?
Right, was anybody
Run.
running for that?
Right.
Does VP just land to the highest voted person on the next open position?
Yeah, but that next highest voted person might be new incoming members.
Well, they wouldn't be able to run for president.
Oh, just second place in president.
Yeah, for a VP, I'm just saying like the highest voted person going for a second term. Put language in it like that, if the VP ends up being the president now.
Yeah, so I think the president would have to just say earlier than when the vote came out, if he was gonna run again. That's all it would have to be. Because if the president wasn't rerunning, then the VP becomes president. If the president was rerunning, then the VP has to rerun also. And so there would never be. Did I say that right?
Did you say that right? Because if the president chooses to rerun, the VP,
Somebody should be able to run against.
somebody should be able to run
Yeah.
against him. It doesn't necessarily have to be the sitting VP,
Right.
Yep.
right?
So if the president wants to run again, then that opens up for a VP.
If the VP doesn't. Yes.
And if the president doesn't rerun, then the VP becomes it, and we open up a new VP spot. So we would just have to know if the president's gonna rerun before the end of the season to add that or that spot.
And the VP spot has to be someone from the board?
Someone who's been on board for the last 3 years.
Okay. So it just can't be someone.
Can't be a community.
And then is there a limit on terms of how long, like, could that president keep rerunning, like, let's say it's now we're into been in that spot for 4 years and now we're getting into the 5th and 6th year, like, there's no term limit?
Getting into a 5th and 6th year.
I don't know if
Pretty
anybody-
long with them, so
Yeah.
that might be a problem.
Mhm.
That is an incredible amount of work.
But yeah, there are associations that have that.
They haven't changed.
And there's good and bad stuff.
Right.
Okay.
Whatever you guys do, it ain't gonna be this year, so.
Yeah.
By before the end of the season.
So I think the next steps would be like deciding on if we wanted terms, and then going through a couple of examples to include in the handbook message, I guess, the handbook portion. Like if this happens and this happens, if this happens and that happens, if both things happen and this thing happens. Just go through a couple of examples, and I think we just need to decide if we want terms. Term limits, I guess.
Or does that go on a 2-year cycle? But that, in essence, or is the president going a 2-year cycle? There's a vote for vice president every year, and then every second year there's a vote for the president.
You have a vote every year for the vice president. You could literally you could have someone who's been a 1-year vice president, and then if the president chooses to not run again, now that VP is thrust into a position that they maybe
Like
didn't
we've done for the last 20 years.
Right, they might not have anticipated it based on the new.
Yeah.
Like now, when you become the VP,
You know
what's happening,
that's
right?
happening and you're trying to. get
Here,
ready
if you
for
run
it.
for VP, assuming the president's gonna continue, I guess that's always the chance, right? And then they don't, now you're in. So,
We like American politics, you could have a president VP package and run together.
sure, hand in hand.
So we have some time to hash that out.
I think Lindsay got the right idea, right? Like, lay out all of the possible scenarios and just make sure you're not exposed to the one scenario that we missed where all of a sudden there's not somebody who else.
Or there's someone that you can't get out.
Or somebody decides that they just turn now the czar of hockey. Or do it.
Do you want to assign it to somebody, or to a committee, executive committee or something, to ensure that we're getting it done? The past stories that this has been ongoing for multiple years, and
Thanks for volunteering. Let us know.
No, he keeps volunteering himself. I don't wanna just throw it right at this guy.
We do have to have an exec committee. The end of
Yeah.
So it could be added to that agenda.
I think I added it.
Just need a whiteboard with this, an A-ball, and shake it like B.
Is there a Venn diagram that would apply here?
You know, it's like Mike's and Megan's.
Figuring out all the different scenarios. I think, well, to Melissa's point, we have to meet exec committee in the next month here, so during that, let's decide, a mix of people who've been around for a while, so folks that are new, and say, hey, you guys tackle this problem, come up with all of the pros, cons, all of the potential pitfalls, and make a recommendation. And provide contacts, they can talk to some folks that have come and gone and might have some input on it too. We'll do that, because we're gonna have that meeting anyways, before next month's meeting. Fair enough. Anything else on that topic, anybody? Next topic, a new business, is advancing teams, so district playoffs will wrap up this weekend. Teams that advanced to region and state tournaments in the past have come to the board, we've scrambled together an email vote to approve to cover their entrance fees, gate fees, whatever it is for them. It's a past practice, we've done it all along. I would like to see us just go into Monday prepared, so when all these teams come, we can say, yep, it's done, it's good, it's covered, versus having them scramble and trying to figure out, when they're also trying to figure out, okay, where am I staying next weekend, players maybe, blah, blah, blah. So, region tournaments are $1,600. So is it the same for state last year too, when the bands went to both?
I don't remember.
And I think, cause I think region is like split between, it's a gate fee and a tournament fee, and then state, I think it's just a gate fee, so it might even be less than the region one. So I think
I
there's
don't
an
think there's gate fees in either, because they charge you at the gate, didn't
Oh, yeah, so there was no registration fee for state, but there was a gate fee, so we covered the gate fee, so the parents for all the players could be at the tournament without having to buy their weekend passes and stuff. So,
I'll just make it easy, I motion up to 20,000 for participating teams, due to the fact that we have multiple teams that potentially could be going to the regions and state, just make it easy.
we were talking it earlier, we're looking at a potential of up to 9 or 10 teams that advance once or twice.
Can I throw in, just because it has different verbiage, junior gold?
We included
Yep,
them
we
in
included
that.
them.
Because they have play downs, which are different than regions.
I counted them as region and state.
Perfect.
Figuring that they both have a
Got
good
the
chance
both.
to do both.
Yeah, they'll probably do both.
So those, that counted for 4 of the ones we counted.
Awesome, thank you.
So is that a motion?
That's a motion from
Is
staff
it
for
enough
up
though?
to.
You're saying 9 9
Yeah,
to
it's
10 at
20
I think it's
16.
gonna probably end up being 5. We can always, if we have to.
If we have to, we email
Come
vote
back,
more and
but-
we take care of these
Okay.
folks.
I
but
think we'll probably be.
This just allows when, as a level coordinator on Monday, you get that call, just say, yep, it's done, it's covered, it's good, let us know what your registration, like, versus, oh, wait, we gotta go scramble and vote it. Let's just be prepared, we know what's going to happen, we want it to happen. It's a good thing, so.
I second it.
Yeah.
So, Tim seconds, up to 20,000 to cover advancing team. 7, 8, 9, you good? Thanks, Scott, I made that very easy.
Question chase.
I like it. Next piece is just the 2025-26 board elections. There'll be 5 at-large seats plus a VP seat up for election, so if a current board member runs for the vice president seat and gets it, then it'll be 5 plus a 1-year term to fill that 6th one. Timeline for that will be March 1st and March 12th. We'll have the application process out online, gives people plenty of time to fill out their applications. People have time to read them because they post and they go live as they come in. Voting will happen March 13th through Sunday, March 16th at midnight. On Monday, the 17th, we'll get together, we'll count all the votes, remove all the duplicates, person that had 1 kid who voted 4 times, etc. New members will be contacted and announced on the 18th, and then the new members will attend the March 19th meeting. They will not be members officially yet, so this existing board will be the voting membership for the March meeting. At the adjournment of that meeting, it's all yours, so. Just so everyone's kind of aware of that timeline, because you're gonna start getting questions and people are starting to think about it, talk about it. That's the timeline that it looks like, so watch for communication around March 1st. There'll be, 10, 11 days to get those applications in, plenty of time. The voting period's a little short, but it's an online vote that doesn't take long, so shouldn't be an issue. And the last piece of new business is I just wanted to make sure that we take a second, recognize the FHS girls team, Section 1AA champions participating in the state tournament this weekend. Their first game is tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. against the Cake Eaters. So, wish nothing but the worst of luck to Edina and best of luck to Coach Holmes and his squad. There will also be a send-off from Farmington High School at 10:15 tomorrow morning, so encourage friends, family, everyone that can. I know it's during school, whatever, it's tough, but it'd be.
Do you know the route?
You don't.
Okay.
And my guess is they're probably going to go out down Flagstaff over to Cedar. I don't
Yeah.
think they're coming up through town.
Yeah, I feel like when we went last year, and I'm sure it's different with the school, but the arena to,
15.
yeah, to Pilot.
Yeah.
And I think they dropped off at.
They didn't leave city limits.
Yeah. No, so, I mean, if people are asking where, I would say show up at the high school and line by the lacrosse fields on that way where the one way the bus can go out. They're really cool. Lindsay, you're really in tune with the girls program. If you know a bunch of them are going, let me know and skip word by the way the flags out of the arena and stuff.
Yeah, so we have managers for all the girls' programs picking kids up out of school, doing the send out and then dropping them all back off again, so.
Which is awesome. It's super cool, and if you can get those youngest kids there to see it and want that someday, that's everything, right? Like you and I talked about the murals down your hallway. Kids that looked at them and now they're on, that's what we want.
That's what we're building them for, right?
That's what we want, so, yeah, so share the word and congratulations to that squad.
Somebody film it and send it to me. Just get it also up on social, just to kind of take care of it again. Remind people, send off is going on.
Yeah, if I'm able to duck out for a little bit for
That'd be
work,
really
I'll
cool.
set up a spot and grab something as the counselor goes by. Hopefully capture a bunch of the kids there cheering and stuff
That'd
too.
be awesome.
Not just the high school kids that are happy to be out of class for half an hour. Awesome. Committees, Melissa, anything on the trail committee?
Just, can I add one thing to new business that I
Yeah.
just want to acknowledge that I forgot to add on there? The Castle family sent a thank you note to FYHA, just thanking, the community for the support and the contribution to the GoFundMe. So, Then committee update, tryout committee, we kind of finalized a summary report for the transition, to however that committee ends up being, once we switch over here in April. So we put down kind of a list of things that need to be addressed right away, and then some recommendations that we have based on last year that should be, addressed going into the next season. So hopefully, if there are big changes on that committee, they can hop in and just go from there. If there aren't, everybody kind of knows where we're at, and we can just pick up and go.
And appreciate the approach, Melissa, with the debrief last year and then just this year being that continual work on it instead of, oh, we're done, we're through it, and we'll figure it out again next year. So appreciate that. It's gonna make it much smoother.
Can I jump ahead just because I have to go and get a kid to Cottage Grove?
You can. So
To the budget finance. Just wanna, the Minnesota Wild has put forth a new program, it's called Skate It Forward. I'm looking into it right now to possibly apply for that. What it is they would cover the cost, for new skaters to your program. They're trying to get the growth of programs. We already cover the cost for skaters, but we've talked a lot about equipment and getting equipment availability for new skaters. So thinking that, I think there's options beyond that. It's just really how to get new players into the sport and how to grow, your association. So looking into that, there would be a little bit of follow-up on our part, because with Skate It Forward, like, they want you to pay it forward, so you also have to have a plan on how you would then help pay it forward towards like another association. So that's due by the end of the month, so I gotta look at that before next Friday and see if we can help throw together. But I think I just gotta pull some numbers from where we've been at previous years and, kind of explain what our growth plan has been.
To that, I'll just say, to that idea, a friend of mine runs an association in Highland Hills in Colorado, and they have a program, Adopt a Skater, and it's as simple as it sounds. They reach out to the community to basically adopt a number, and then new skaters, if they need equipment, there's a family and there's a budget, like it can't go above, I don't remember the number he said, it can't go above like $500. But you can outfit up to $500 for a new skater, and then it just creates that community involvement. I think that would be something to look into, something to think about, to put it out to our community, because there are plenty of people whose kids are gone, and if it meant that a new 5-year-old kid could get new equipment, and you know, that family can reach out, or however, be anonymous, whatever it is, but I think that's something I'd like to kind of pursue.
With our status as a nonprofit, it should be right out.
Absolutely, for anybody to do that, right? So something to think about, just ways to tap into the community to sponsor a kid, and you could have a sponsor wall and something like that. Community connections.
Like it. Good on that topic, or got more? Alright, Scott, player development.
So I know I've talked about this one probably a couple times in a row, but we're truly wrapping up that season program. Matt and I have been working on that, getting it up on the site, ready to go. The next step is really for me to sit down with the player development committee to meet, determine our communication strategies. I need to sit with Nick and get that figured out, as well as when we want to officially kick it off. So we'll need to do that here in the next few weeks to get that working. We're also working on a hockey plan with Learn to Skate. So more to come on that, but that'll be later in August. And again, something we're trying to do to partner more with Learn to Skate, just because when you do attend Learn to Skate, there's a lot of ice open, and we definitely want to encourage our skaters, our members, if they're not going to skate, to get out and skate and keep those legs working. So more to come on that one. And then I also need to follow up on the pure hockey sponsorship. So we're working on potentially doing something with pure hockey as well. More to come on that. And I get a chance to get it. That's it for player development.
Scott and I talked offline about, not just the stuff FYHA provides, but there are a ton of opportunities to skate. Even within our community, coaches within our association that run clinics and camps and stuff during the summer, so just challenge that committee to think of how do we communicate that? Obviously, you know, there's gotta be some boundaries, right? I can't just go in and take every email address for all the upcoming band players and fill my camp, but if I have a nice flyer or whatever, you know, in the association, I'll share it just to make sure that everybody is aware of all the opportunities there, whether they are through our association or not. Just, you know, the ones that want to skate and wanna do it, there's only so much we can do. You know, we can also help point people. You're new to hockey coming out of Mites, you're like, oh, I'm down in Chicago, that's the option, and it's like, well, no, there's, you know, there's so many options, so just, you know, keep that in the back of your mind and we'll connect more on that as it gets closer to time. We're gonna skip coaches committee for now, because John's anxious to get out. No, just kidding. John, go ahead.
I got the end of the season review questionnaire put together for the families, so that, plan on sending that out after this weekend's district playoffs. And then, working on putting a questionnaire for coaches, for the coaches themselves. That'll be worked on this weekend and also be sent out after this weekend's district playoffs. So there's gonna be, 2 questionnaires going out, one to the families and one to the all the coaches. Otherwise, nothing else.
Okay, perfect. Tina, is this you? Who's gonna update us?
We'll let Tina take it.
Alright, Tina, you're in.
I'll jump in if she sings. She's not paying.
Taco Tater Days again. I was kind of in a holding pattern, but she got back to me today. They would like us to host bingo and Old House Julie. Okay. And then we would look at being a diamond level sponsor again. And then as a committee, we feel like we have enough board members to help cover the weekend events. So put this on your calendar now. We had a really good board turnout last year, so I feel like we can handle it. They also want us to be Bloody Mary Mimosa Bar hosts again. That was a huge hit last year. That will be Saturday morning. And then they're calling it Chippy's Market, so that's the vendor market. And that runs to Friday through Sunday. I think we only did Friday and Saturday. But I'm requesting 2 spots. They're making us pay for the 2 spots. So she's not giving us a break on that.
So last year, I mean, part of the negotiation was, right, and we give back 10% of the bingo for them, so that was kind of part of the wash, but I can jump into it. 10%. Our, what did we give, our, okay, so, okay. That's something else. So we get, I mean.
We'll buy 2 spots, but let's at least take 10%.
Right, we'll tell them that we'll take, I mean, the last 2, since I've been doing it, they've given us a space because we give them back
Yeah,
more.
she emailed, I asked her, I said, well, we're looking at doing diamond level sponsorship.
We've always paid for the sponsorship, but not the space at the market or the family fun day or whatever they're calling it. We've never paid for that.
She's like, and as for the market, we revised the way we set it up, the market this year, so we can't offer you a free space at your past location. We do have 3 spots available for the community groups over by the Big Tent, which that puts us over in VFB, so that's not where we want to be.
Right. What's it costing us?
I think it's like
$50, 100, or?
100, and I want 2 spots, so it'd be $200.
Okay, I mean, not a big deal.
Okay. Whatever. And then.
For that Bloody Mary bar, we're gonna partner up with Spooky.
Have you been in, we were talking about that at our last.
Yep, I shot him an email, haven't heard back, I shot him an email.
I
He texted me and that night,
He was super excited.
he was
about
awesome,
partner,
so he wants in.
But so Melissa could get it, like, be careful what you negotiate, cause she could get like Zing Zang for, what was it, $8 a bottle?
Yes.
Right.
And it was the
He
big
was
one.
talking about
And that was
setting
the
up
big
near
one.
us and literally supplying Bloody Mary mix, and we say, yeah, we got it from right over there, so we can
Yeah.
sit and sell this product, like,
Right.
he wanted to be a partner.
Yeah, I mean,
partner,
like,
not
if
just
he's
a-
willing to like
take
donate
advantage.
X amount and then give us like a deal on the rest of it, yeah,
Absolutely.
okay.
Well, and he was willing to work, was it Chad Greenway, who does the vodka,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
Vikings,
we
he
agreed
partners
on
with
vodka
them.
with it too.
So I think there's options there.
It's open to
Yeah.
conversation.
I mean, we killed it last year, I mean, we were running out of everything,
Well, and it
right?
was
Right.
good vodka.
Thank goodness he was there
Good.
because
Right.
he was giving us more.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And then,
I don't know, I should.
I think so, right?
Yeah, or maybe that's what we give 10% to, but Melissa, I don't think they've ever come to us and asked for it. Did you find out, are they doing the smoking event? Are they not doing?
No, I didn't see the Bourbon Butcher is now
Okay.
sponsoring the
Okay.
barbecue cookout.
So I mean, maybe we can even partner with these guys and push that, cause I know last year that was part of the issue is they were almost canceled it because they didn't have enough registrants, so even if we can go up to social and,
The barbecue was, the smoke-off was ill-attended.
yeah.
It was casual
Well,
at
yeah,
best.
you and,
There were, what, 6 people smoking?
right.
And no one
And they
really.
almost canceled it, so it was up
Yeah, they
to
almost-
like
they
the
almost
end where
not
she
had
was
it this
like,
year.
cause that was part of our thing, like that's 90% of our people are the smokers that come to buy Bloody Marys.
Right.
And she was like, I don't know, you know, we need at least 3 more, and at the end, they must have made it work, but if we can support them in marketing and just throw it out on social from them, and maybe drive some more awareness.
Okay.
Cost them half a spot.
Right.
And then, you know, obviously, I was thinking about what other promotional things we want at the tent. Obviously, we will sell our beach towels. I thought about the can koozies were a big sell. Sold out of those. And then anything else that would be fun that.
Do we need to motion for money for that right now, or do you wanna hold off until?
Melissa wanted us
I
to
forgot.
wait for the fiscal year that it falls in. So, we'll wait till April-ish, but she's gonna motion the budget, so. But
Yeah, if we approve it in the budget, it doesn't have to motion for the, we could just motion for.
And then, the grand parade will be Sunday at noon, in the Diamond Lot, obviously gives us an entry into the parade. So we'll have to start thinking of float ideas. We kicked out the beach towels and the tumbler cup sales. I don't know what this, Melissa's done, so I don't know what the sales are in the beach towels, but, for the tumblers, or for that fundraising, we're at 4,100. Over 1,700 is in just donations, and then over 2,300 is in cup sales, so 72 cups sold. John Cornwall is leading the pack in sales, and then Elliot Bowles is right behind him, so,
So with that amount of donation money that we're getting on that one fundraiser, it just, to me, shows what a gap that we have not having a donation button on our website.
yeah, I agree. The tumbler cup is not going like I thought it would. I know it could be end of the year stuff, but don't know, there's a lot of board members here who are not signed up and that have littles, just saying. I get the Bantam kids, you know, you parents are checked out.
We'd rather buy from the little.
If you want, I'll send you Lincoln's link. Just kidding. And then we will have our final raffle drawing on Saturday. Someone will be the grand prize winner of $1,000. I'll get with Matt and we'll set that up. Not you, Scott. No. If I draw your name, I have to put it back. And then,
Cruise neighborhoods want to know too.
Yeah,
Right.
we'll cul-de-sac.
Just so you know really quick about your button on the thing, I talked to Crossbar, I can't put a button on the site.
okay.
So we'd have to do it under like the resources tab as like a give button, because their site's so cookie cutter, there's not a lot of, I can't add a button basically on the main page. So I did look into it after it was requested, so we could build, once again, like under a resources tab, we could do fundraising or give to Farmington, but we can't put something directly on the site at this
Okay.
time with Crossbar.
So could you put like headline, like donate, and when it clicks, it drives them to that fundraising button,
banner.
just to.
Like, we could do a news, so you know, there's the 3 boxes, like, I think
Yep,
one is,
yep.
whatever those 3 are right now, we could do something there and then it could
Okay,
drive
it would
off.
drive, I think that's.
I just can't get you a button in like the upper
Right.
left corner.
Okay, that's good to know.
I think we should consider that, cause what's been donated on that
A lot
is,
of that, link on Facebook and stuff though,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
You could put a link to it on every post if you want to.
correct.
we talk about scholarships and things like that, like, that money, type of money can go to that versus general funds, you know.
Right. I just always put this in there, so the golf tournament, September 13th. Be good to start collecting silent auction items now. I have, 2 heated vests and was it Oro? Is that the company that makes heated vests? And then, some gift cards from them, already, so starting to collect on that. And then my other thought was, I was in Los Angeles, I think we should, start consider giving the bars and restaurants a plug on social media that has our pull tabs. I think that would be good.
So Steve used to do that. Steve and John worked together. I dropped the ball on that. So yeah, that is something that we should probably, it was always on our.
And I can help with
And I
that.
think that gets easier when you get to the off season. There's so much hockey related stuff going on right now that it's kind of hard to fit. Because I think we're getting close to, but we haven't crossed or actually hit the line of like oversaturation. But we want to make sure the things that are hockey related are getting out there, not getting lost in the shuffle too. But one thing I mentioned to Matt today as we talked about the regional tournament and the welcome packet is let's just put a page in there of the map of Farmington and Rich. Here's Bergen Butcher, here's our sponsors, right? It's just a little way we can give back to them, which is exactly what you're saying too. And when we talked at the beginning of the year about reimagining social media, and that part of that was throwing some plugs out there for sponsors. So, and that's a great way for us to stay engaged with our membership and stay in the algorithm during the off season without taking away from, you know, these junior gold, senior spotlights have been, I've gotten so many comments on that. It's been awesome, right? These kids have been playing their association for 15 years. Well, it's maybe not until over 19, but it's using that avenue and using it both ways. And when there's not a lot of hockey stuff going, we still want to be popping up in feeds often enough to continue to be recognized and be seen every time we do talk about hockey stuff.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I'm fine with once everything mellows out, maybe once a week we, you know, give somebody a plug. I just think it would.
Well, it makes it a lot easier to ask for a gift card at the golf tournament time from Bourbon Butcher when we're every 3 months, we're pushing them on our website and through social.
Correct.
And like, hey, you got, you know, and you got money to donate? Well, no, I mean, we do your tabs and you guys, there's really not much in it for them other than.
Yeah, we can probably also cross pollinate a little bit more. It could have been like the Castle Rock Senior Spotlight. Or, you know, some of those types of things where we can kind of do some of that. Maybe like trophy case presented from this weekend by insert sponsor here and kind of cross pollinate both of them and sticking like their logo on the bottom corner of a team picture from a tournament. So there's some opportunity to that where you're not oversaturating with just sponsorship or just this. You're combining both of them.
Sponsor spotlight, even though they're not paying or anything to be that sponsor, they're getting it free through.
No, I mean, I think our sponsors, if they follow our social, they understand now that value in it, because in the past it was, okay, we had a trophy case blast on Mondays, we got 1 or 2 requested things here or there, where it's still evolving, it's still growing, but yes,
Well, it
it's
might be
becoming a
helpful.
tool that's going to help us seek sponsors, because, well, what can you do for people?
Well,
I mean,
and
we
some
got
of the,
6,000 followers, and we're, you know, posting 7 times a week, and getting 350 engagements on every one within town. You know,
some of the
that's pretty
locations
small.
or that we've lost, we could go back and be like, this is what we're doing for our sponsors, you know, your vendor, whatever we wanna call them, what are you getting from them as far as, going back to Pizza Man, you
One
know,
that's
like.
really good too, and like, when we go visit them, we can talk, like, Kevin sends me his stuff every other week, like, what he wants the spotlight for Castle Rock, like, we can tell them, like, I don't have to always create what they want. Like, we've got 3 more Mike Meltdown sponsors coming out this week, and like, I don't mind making the posts where like we have cable coming out this week and all this stuff, but like, if they, like, Kevin prefers to send me his stuff and just repost it, and there's no issues with that.
I
Like, if
think
they
what
have
he does
something
is
they
great.
like, so.
Yeah, Axel Rock, whatever he sends is, yeah.
Yeah, he sends me a flyer every other week for the Yeti bingo or whatever they're doing.
I just like, you know, Tiger eating taco.
He wasn't.
Fucking Las Enchiladas.
Las Enchiladas.
Like, I see the Crown Rental and the brewery is being promoted.
Okay, so that was my thought on it. The next committee meeting is supposed to be March 5th. That may have to get postponed just because of the districts, so that's coming up.
Very good.
So we got.
Busy, appreciate it. Lindsay, tournaments?
So we kind of have a tournament going on here shortly, the 15U
Kind of.
B. I sent out the link to everybody to do Sign Up Genius. Dakota worked with me to get it fixed with the new updated bracket, so that's done now.
Yeah, you finished yours right in between where
Yeah.
you're getting it back together.
Yep, she texted me right away and said, "What is this?" I'm like, the last version I had. So that is fixed now, so please go out there. I encourage you to try to pick up at least 1 or 2 shifts. Otherwise, we're gonna burn through Craig's dibs super quick. And then, I think we got the trophies, the banners. We got the hotel lock. Yep, so that's all good. Pamphlets and packets, or packets going out this weekend.
Does Jeremy know about hanging the banners? You talked to him, was it really much smacker?
What you did last time was even better. You brought the banner and you never noticed.
Yeah.
You and Jaden were there hanging.
Yeah. I mean, I can hang them. I just,
Hey, we just hang them on the boards facing the entrance and people come in, that's what they do, so I say, well,
did you open them? Do you know like what they are? How many?
I did not open the big ones, no.
we probably, there's 1 or 2 and they're about 6 feet long and
Well,
about
it's
2.5 feet tall. We can just go right on the boards by the door.
So the banners get hung there, perfect.
And then there's a little one standing on the
Refs wasn't here, even though there was a little talk about the refs today, cause it was, your bracket change, blah, blah, it's like, well, here's the state of Minnesota guy said you had to change it, he goes, well, he's not saying he told you to change it, it's like, okay, well, it's email where he told us to change it, but.
Yeah.
Was he upset about the location change?
I think both, cause there was a version, I don't know how that version got out there, where like, a bunch of it was at Burnsville, and it's like, no, we had, and that was months ago. Like when Dakota and we circled back and it's like, she's like, yeah, we can do this, and it's like, Mac, and it's like, good. Let's do it.
Then you're good. Concessions are
Yeah,
good.
so concessions still need to get put
We'll-
together.
We'll find out. I doubt it though. I mean, the meltdown actually got more full than what I was anticipating, which is cool. Although part of the people I think bounced out of the shack and now they're doing the announcers and all this other stuff. So, but I mean, there's a lot more spots that got filled than what I guess I anticipated. But we'll
Do you
throw it
have
out there.
concession dibs on your thing?
Yeah, so I asked about
Yeah,
that.
I'll get them out there. I was gonna do that last night and I got busy. I had somebody not show up last night, so I was slinging pretzels myself.
What a guy.
At the end of the day, I mean, find a way, right? I get it if your team's in a regional, you're out for the weekend, but other than that, find a way. Come work 2 morning games, come open penalty box doors, run the store clock, do the announcing, whatever. Like, it's going to take all of us, right? There's 8, 9 people that are working their tails off on all the back end stuff of it. When the weekend comes, we need all 20 of us there to make it happen. So, sign up 3-4 times. I'll learn to go to pretzel. I had missions being busy all weekend, but it didn't happen.
You gotta go out in your last hurrah.
Yeah, they
Before
should.
you're
Until
done.
you see my costume and coaches.
You haven't given enough, just a little bit more.
Until you see my costume and coaches.
When is that?
Oh, yeah, when is that?
Oh.
Who's in charge of that?
I don't know.
Who's in charge of that?
That's Jordan's.
The year-end party.
for our final skate to be on our crossbar, parent kids skate. I know it's not you.
That's right.
No, I know you don't.
We can
I don't think so.
offline that one. Anything else tournament wise?
No, not unless I'm missing something.
Thanking Amanda.
Oh, yes, I did, I put that in the
Sending
notes.
emails everywhere.
Yes, there is a shout out to Amanda in the notes, can't do it without you, boo, thank you.
Well, thank you to everyone that's doing everything they're doing to make it happen.
Takes a village.
Well, Amanda and I talked a little while back, she's like, I can't do all this. No, you can't.
You can't.
It's not fair to expect it, so we will get it divvied up and I think when we each just have one little piece that we're in charge of, it's a lot easier than one person trying to do it. Amanda's still taking the brunt of it, receiving all the emails, making sure everyone's getting the communication, just captaining the whole damn
I
thing.
feel like you are the quiet little, you're just here, you do it to them.
More for her, I wouldn't know what the hell's
Right.
going on with it, so yes, it's been good.
Are we just having them bring checks when they check in?
Yep, they'll bring a check in.
So we'll put that info in like the packet or whatever?
Yep, it might even be in the template for it, cause the fee's all the same.
Yeah, the worksheet that they sent from the one I downloaded today, it's a lot filled out, I just have to tweak it to like the Farmington stuff and.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's pretty easy. I can't get it, or maybe you can send it to me. So I use my work computer for a lot of this. I can't get access to that Dropbox link. That's the one thing that's blocked, so I don't know what's in that Dropbox for us. So
Okay.
you can download it and email it to me then.
Okay.
Yeah, that I'll try to look at it on my personal computer too, cause my work computer will tell me.
It's the one thing that's locked out is Dropbox.
Shared file from somewhere outside of our
Yeah.
company?
Yeah.
So
Totally,
you can send me whatever's in there.
Perfect. Alright, Jordan, anything on, clothing?
No, nothing there. We received on facilities, the first phase of the feasibility study back. Haven't really had time to go through it, but as we go through it, we'll send them back questions and then once all the questions are answered, then we'll bring it forward to share with the board. Nothing with Tiger Tone grievance. But
Are you sure?
Well,
I think he's lying.
too much to list today. With that goalie gear for the girls, did we get anywhere with that?
So Tim was nice enough, Tim found us 2 sets of pads, but they're just as bad as everything else we have right now.
The pads that I have, I am told are
Yeah.
garbage. The bag is good.
And then I tried to go out to different play it agains, nothing really goalie equipment wise. And then there's a site called Sideswipe. I think you guys have
Yep.
ever heard of that. So I've been trying to research goalie equipment on there, but it's no different than trying to just buy goalie equipment. So trying to find a nice used set of pair and then order it hoping it's right. Then we have to go through the process of sending it back if it's not versus just purchasing it. So at this point I would say we just move forward with looking at new stuff.
Were the ones that were worn out, were those the new ones we bought last year?
I don't know, just because I wasn't around with that, but we can take a look if you remember, because we've got the one set and then everything else.
If they're
I mean,
Bauer Prodigy, they're not this one.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I think they were gone.
It seemed to be something we worn out.
There's Vaughn and CCL.
Yeah, the two that Tim has is Bowers, one set's pretty beat up, the
Yeah,
other
both
one
Bowers.
is nice-ish, but they're 22s. So I know one of the girls for the goalie that's looking is significantly taller, so she's gonna need probably like 26 ones or 24 ones.
And then nobody, I think we posted it somewhere.
Yeah, we sent out the
We did
email.
get some back.
Tim is the only ones that we got back, that I know of, and then, I don't know, Tim, did you ever get any, did anyone ever
I
call?
got a set of the Prodigy light pads back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can take a look at them, and if they work and they're in good shape, we'll totally go that route, so I'm all about it.
And if they're not, then we're buying 2 new sets.
Then we'll look to do the 2 new sets and then sign a waiver and get a deposit down on them, and that way they're still ours. And then when the girls decide if they really like it, then they're move on and get their own set after that.
Cause we would want that for the off season.
Yes.
Spring.
Yeah,
Sooner the better.
Yep.
I think one's actually signed up for goalie training
Yep.
for the spring, summer, so goalie specific relax.
And then we got another U10 age interested,
Yeah.
got a brother on Sport C, she's gone to a couple of their practices now, learned some paths and seems to be liking it, so.
Yeah, she may be tall enough for some of the ones that are in the storage unit though.
Yeah, Close. She'll be really close.
Okay.
She's tall enough for, Garrison, so.
Okay, okay. Okay. I will reach out to her. If anybody else is trying to get into a goalie clinic from that group, let me know, otherwise. Okay. Yeah. She's looking for a goalie clinic too, I think I got her in one though, but I might need to reach out to you if I can't get her in the one I'm trying to get her in, so.
Yeah, let me know, cause
It doesn't feel like.
I think Buell was rocking my age one.
Okay.
yeah.
He's doing
Well, she's gonna be
He's doing all
12U, I think, but.
Alright, lower level update?
So the only real one going on right now is Mike Meltdown. Moving forward with everything, we've sent off the welcome email to all the teams. There's 32 teams again signed up. That welcome email went out on 2/19. Craig also has been awesome at getting dibs created. We've got those out there and they are filling up as we speak. We'll also be doing communications on that. And then we'll also do some, schedule will be posted on Crossbar. I can't remember if we So I gotta send that to, gotta send the schedule to Matt so you can get that posted out there, and then we'll be in a really good spot, so.
It's gonna be good.
And anything?
Just making sure the moms are involved.
Oh, the moms are involved.
Well, the moms are telling the husbands what they need to do.
Yeah.
It's usually
There's
how it is.
zero control, it is all
That's a
real
great
weird.
group. That's
Geez,
if
that's
that's the
the
biggest
first-
problem you have, the moms trying, that's.
The moms are 100% driving this bus right
Yeah.
now.
They just
Zero
tell them
input
what to
from
do
the
and what they need.
Yep.
I love it.
Perfect.
Weird.
No, they did get shirts. Yeah,
Yeah,
from Tom
shirts,
Sports, yeah.
medals, swag bag.
Yeah, Tom
Going for
Sports.
64 teams next year?
If we can make it work, we'll do it.
Holy.
We had to close it off. Otherwise, we had a couple that were interested, but we couldn't find the right division matchups. We didn't want to put an intermediate team going against an advanced
UA was
team.
tough. UA advanced.
Yeah.
It's tough to find.
But I think it'll help too next year if we can find a little bit earlier date. So that's something we'll have to talk with Dakota to see if we don't do Pierpoint team the last week of the season. Because we also ran into spring break issues where teams were like, we'd love to come, but we're on spring break.
Yeah, your hard part with that's gonna be 1 week earlier. Running into high school, doesn't know when their season ends and.
I know that's our tough part, right? So I mean,
She did have ice for us if we did go a week earlier. She did have ice for us.
so it's just something for us to follow.
But then we were competing with Minnetonka.
Being with Minnetonka, being with the state high school tournament.
Hey, I'll say this: we're having marquee games. There's light show, fog. You're doing swag bags. All the same things. Minnetonka's doing minus one less rink, and ours is $300 cheaper.
One thing,
Let's
right,
just get to
next
the
year.
Yeah.
One thing I would recommend is have you let, like, the restaurants know,
We're going
like
to.
Subway, McDonald's, these guys, okay.
We're gonna let them know,
brand.
and then we're also working on a food truck that'll be outside.
Yeah,
of
'cause that could
Marquee.
be great, but also people are gonna walk in and be like 45 minutes, we don't have that
All
kind
right,
of time.
you walk into Tap House and they're not expecting it.
And maybe partner and do a chicken basket deal or something, you
Nope,
know.
we're gonna be
that-
doing that, so we gotta reach out and do that here
New you,
real
yeah.
soon.
Oh,
Tiger Basket.
Mhm.
Yep, Tiger Basket.
Tiger
Yep.
basket, Tim, look at the marketing.
Tiger toes?
Tiger toes. Now you're going great.
Love it.
And we can, again, if they have our tips, we can pump that in
Yep.
programs or whatever.
Mhm.
And on the U10, squirt wise, I got nothing to report back on. We've resolved and dealt with things that needed to be dealt with there, and had a pretty fun weekend up in Fargo. And the teams out in Excel the other night for practice, and everything seems to be all right.
Yeah, how did they score that? That's pretty sweet.
What's that?
No, I have to be in there, so I'm talking.
Squirt C. They had a practice at the Excel.
Oh,
No, I
Yeah,
heard about
pretty
that,
cool.
yeah.
I think all the sport teams had fun in Fargo too.
How can
Good
you not have
experience.
fun in Fargo?
They only gave us one spot.
12 and 15, anyone?
Nothing outside of the tournament. I did reach out to the districts on what we need to do for U13 to the girls coordinator, and he has not gotten back to me. So I'm gonna try RAC since
Just start to push it.
just start to
Next year.
yeah for next year.
Yes, is that the 8th grade? Without having to-
8th graders have somewhere to play. We have 2 seniors this year on the high school team, so not a whole lot of openings. So.
Yep. Makes total sense. John, Chris aren't here, but these are.
Give Rack a couple days, he just had cataract surgery today.
I'll give him till tomorrow.
You get
Shake it
no
off.
The leniency.
I know
So
with him,
all
he
the
usually
graphs
responds
and
within like
saving
an
them all
hour.
in
So. You don't respond to him in an hour, you get plenty of emails, so I'm gonna treat him the same.
I called him, he answered me today.
You got anything
You
on
can use his
Adams?
mouth, not his
Nope,
eyes.
unless, the goalie situation, was that was resolved, then we're good.
Well, no, there's some questions around playtime on fantasy abilities. We offered them to come offer some suggestions and speak with us. I've already had a suggestion in the handbook next year about goalie rotations, really just the biggest point being, again, being clear with the expectation from the start of the year, I'd say.
Yep.
So, just something to look at.
Does that tie in with the attendance thing though, sort of?
Certainly you can, yeah.
If you don't wanna try, and you don't wanna be there at 8 o'clock, so you're just gonna show up and do nothing,
Yeah.
you know?
And that's just it, right? This, like most conflict situations, there's 3 sides. There's the side presenting the initial, there's the other side when you look into it, and the real truth probably lands somewhere about in the middle. And that's what we found several times with this one, is when we go back and ask the coaches, parents, other people around the situation, we get complete opposites from this, and it's somewhere closer to the middle. It's unfortunate. I don't like to see anybody having not a great time with their season, but it's also just kind of trying to get what you put in. As much as it sucks to say it, it's also true. Casano bailed on us on his U16, but both teams are having a very successful season. Should be able to advance the state out of the playdowns, and which is basically, they don't have districts or regions because it's all one district full state. So they basically have like a small playoffs and then they go to a bracket for state tournament. Both teams are doing well though.
Do you know where their state tournament's at?
Stenson, Pleasant's probably not having it.
I was thinking too.
Okay.
Easy, there's one guy in here that's sensitive to that. Or had 2 weekends in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Back to back weekends. Tournament and then the league games. Crazy.
Can't play.
Alright, old business.
So we're for the scholarships. Yeah, so as discussed in the email, a little bit back and forth, the end of the year banquet's coming up next Thursday for the high school team. I talked about it back in October, I believe, about doing FYHA sponsored or scholarships for our mentors and the girls that participated above and beyond what would ever be expected of a full-time student athlete with our younger groups. So this year we have 5 very strong and intriguing candidates, both based off of parent and coaches as well as kid testimonials, player testimonials. So I think the original request was for 3 scholarships, $2K total. I'm asking for 5 for $500 apiece. More formal format for next year, definitely. But from my perspective, it's any player that's rostered or manager that's rostered. A part of the program, girls program, is a little bit different maybe than what the boys is. I'm not as familiar with the boys side, but a girl can play for 4 years on the high school team, be a part of the mentorship program. Her senior year, she become a manager, and so that's really why I want to be able to have some vagueness or some flexibility there for somebody who was grouped with a mentor group. We group the youngest kids up with the youngest kids. The idea is that they stay very in tune to that age group as they move up and progress. Very well could be a senior, could be having her 12U, her mentee that she's had since 8U they very well could be playing on the same team on the girls' side at some point. So, as a 7th grader and a senior, that type of stuff. So, on there, I did note that we do have some of these kids going to 8-year-old, 7-year-old birthday parties. They participate with them in summer camps. A lot of these girls are OS participants, so the high school kids will leave their practice for OS. They'll walk to the other side of a big ice arena, and then they'll go do more mentoring with the 8-year-old girls that they have been with all summer. So they participate with them 365. Nothing is required for their program as of right now. So these kids are downloading the schedules on their phone. A lot of them don't drive it, so they are making their parents organize it. I mean, when you talk to these parents of these mentors, they're like, no, we never mentioned it at all. My kid comes to me and says, okay, I have 3 practices this week. This is where I need you to get me to, or so-and-so's driving me to these practices. So these kids have really taken a lot of ownership. And we've been very grateful, or very lucky to have such involvement with these girls. I think when I talked about it back in October, we do have a coaching deficit at times. This really gets people at a young age involved with coaching. There's a whole nother level of understanding of the sport when you can stop being a player and start being a mentor or a coach for it too. There's a whole nother level of understanding. We also have a deficit of female coaches, so this also really helps drive that for teams that have heavy guys on them, like our 8UB program. It's been really nice to be able to have the girls on the ice with them, right? So another voice, a female voice and stuff like that. People say it matters or it doesn't, but as a female athlete, it does matter at times. And so to have that to kind of, fill out your coaching group has really been beneficial. So even from the kids' players' perspective, it's beneficial. From the parents' perspective, it has such good leaders on the ice and mentors of that age group. It's been very good. And then from a coaching perspective, it's great to be able to be like, okay, you get 15 minutes, make sure you're ready for it next practice. And be able to turn it over and let those girls run stuff. They run our locker rooms after games, before games at times. We let them take the reins for that, and they've all stepped up for it. So I would love to do the same thing for the boys program if they're also doing it. Like I said, I'm not as familiar. I do know there's a couple of spotlights for a Pee Wee team. There was a really good participant from the high school boys side. I'm just not as tuned to it, but it would be really nice to be able to have this opportunity to present it at the year-end banquet and drive additional participation. I mean, if we talk about should it just be for upperclassmen? Frankly, the seniors really haven't done anything for the program for the last 3 years. So why do we just limit it to a certain grade? We can just make everybody eligible who's on the roster, player, manager, etc. So I'm up for a discussion around it. I think it's something that can get us started. I know that there was a comment about, hey, the Bantam assistant coaches make X, but we expect them to be there 3-4 times a week. I hear that.
They choose to do that,
They
but
choose,
these high school
yeah.
players are doing this in addition to their already rigorous practice schedule and school schedule. And we're talking about a scholarship to help them go to college.
But they're also doing it to build up their college resume too. I mean, there's
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with it. I just think $500 is a lot.
I mean, it's a college book. I mean, really, if you talk about it, I mean, that's all it is.
Doesn't go a long way.
It's a book or
Then
3
how do
weeks.
you do that if, let's say you give it to a 9th grader, right? Then how does that work?
Yeah, so a good point. I mean, it might be different now, but I know that, I played college scholarship golf tournaments starting in 7th grade, and I would collect checks. My parents just put it in an account for me. I mean, that's all it was for us. So we don't have any long-term responsibility of holding on to it, issuing it upon graduation. I mean, we did our due diligence of donating it under a scholarship. If they want to take it and put it towards something irresponsible, they don't have the money anymore, but plus they would be eligible for taxes on it too. So.
And then why is 5 the mandatory?
It's more than 3. No, I mean, because I was right around that
It's an
2K when I
impactful
had
number.
asked.
It just doesn't have the same impact.
Yeah.
Right, and these girls, the girls are having an impact.
They are.
They 100%.
Retention is up for it.
And the boys, there's impact. I don't know if it's as significant because they're still kind of just doing the expected amount, where with some of these girls they've gone really above and beyond. But
I mean, they invited the 10U group to go out to a movie with them, just like went around and picked them up and brought them to a movie and then hung out at the park afterwards.
Well, and we talk about Tiger Town, right?
That's it.
That's Tiger Town. You know, the first couple months that I was here on the boys' side, Julie needed help. You had the storage locker, something, and all these boys from the high school team offered to help, and not one showed up. And Julie and her husband and family were like trying to move tons of pull tabs from one storage locker to the other. So like going back on not just the girls doing the right thing and being the role model in the Tiger Tone, but maybe, you know, on both sides, there's above and beyond just showing up on the ice and being a role model. Like, but yeah, I feel like through these, I always, with my work with the boys booster this last year, like that, we're trying to bridge the association with the high school boys and kind of hold them a little bit accountable of, you were these little guys once too. Like, do you understand? And I go through with my son all the time, like, these little guys look up to you. You know, they don't realize it, but they're, yeah, so I think.
Yeah, and I mean, I had two girls that were gonna more than likely quit and go to gymnastics. Gymnastics is one of our largest competitors on the girls' hockey side. And I followed back up with them, and the parents were like, nope, they want to be like the twins. And they had no intention of quitting hockey next year. And we were having a retention problem between the 20s. In 8U, we were losing some. In 8U to 10U, we were losing some. And I think I might only lose one this year. So, I mean, that's a pretty big impact from what these kids are doing.
Are you making them like fill anything out?
So I have about a dozen emails. I'd like to get to the point where we're doing like, hey, Google form to the coaches, and then have like almost like a end of the year where it goes out with the end of the year survey where if parents want to make a shout out to their
But I mean,
mentor,
I think also them filling it out, right? Them taking the time to, you know, hey, this is what I've done, this is what it means to me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
just like any other scholarship, you have to apply for it.
right.
And I like that, you know, the coaches and whatever are also on board with the, you know, the X number of kids.
Yeah, and it's definitely, I mean, I think the best way to get going is to get started,
Yeah.
but and then
Yeah.
to definitely
Fine tune it.
as we go, right? Does it become more than that? Do they have to write essays? Is what it means? Do they have to come here and talk to us? You know, like absolutely, public speaking would be great. Writing essays is great. But, you know, have 7 and 8 year olds be like, they made posters. I was like, I might need some help getting something approved. If you guys can throw some stuff together. And I got a bunch of pictures of people's little kids' posters that they were putting together. And like pictures of them at a movie together and the pro hockey game. They're like, here, give her this picture. So I was like getting hammered, like with a bunch of emails and text messages from all these parents and kids that, you know, are reaching out to like advocate for their mentors, and absolutely refinement as we go, but I think we just need to get the ball moving. And I think what's really nice and romantic about it is that these kids had no idea this was even an option, and they still did all of it, right? So as it gets more robust, definitely the parameters.
The ones on the boys' side that were doing, they did their 2 a month to go pay.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun. Yeah, we'll be a little more effort.
But this is setting this whole Tiger Tone mentality
Right,
that
I
we're
mean,
always
to
trying
me,
to promote,
like,
right?
it's a
So
lot
with
of money, but
that,
it's not a lot of money this is what we've, since I've been on the board, have read Tiger Tone and be the bigger,
We were making really good progress down this, and then COVID happened, and for like 2 years, the high school kids couldn't be out there. And then the girls program was still doing it some, the boys wasn't. The boys program is 100% interested in being a part of it too, right now.
we need to take advantage of that, because I feel like they need to get back to Tiger Tone.
Yeah, and I mean, we have 2 families that probably would have not signed up for 10U who are, and if they stay all the way through high school, they can pay for it this year. I mean,
if
we're
you
talking
do
about
that, then you
retention.
can promote it on the website and champion these people that have gone above and
Right,
beyond.
that retention.
And I'm bringing 2 of the kids, if this gets approved, I have already asked for permission to bring 2 of the kids for the end of the year banquet, and they'll actually do the presentation. 1 from each team, and do that to get more of those girls participating as well, because some of them are shy, they don't want to, but you know, if you kind of push it a little bit and the parents see how impactful it is for the younger ones, then as a parent I'm going, what group did you get assigned to? Why aren't you going?
Yeah, 'cause I'm gonna say LC's team has never had anyone at their practices at all.
They were assigned.
Yeah.
So.
And these little
And these
kids
are the
look
littlest
up,
ones.
like my neighbors are baby, like, and they're, I don't know, 9, 8, and 5, and they worship the ground that Andy walks on. I mean, he's playing wiffle ball with his buddies in the backyard, and they're just, and trying to reiterate, like, that's
these
what
guys
you're,
should pay
Andy
for
has no clue,
themselves,
but it
yeah.
means a lot to those little kids. And like, if that's what the association needs to keep girls in the program and whatever.
So, I don't support it. We have a motion to vote it right now. Push that pretty quickly. I don't think we have a problem passing it.
I think there were just some questions.
Yeah, there were just
Yeah.
some questions.
Yeah,
It
and
felt
early
rushed,
stages,
but
and
yeah.
let's get going
But
and.
I think it's a great
Yeah.
idea. I don't think 500 is a bad number. And if all 5 go to the girls' side this year, get what you put into it. So if you would do an email motion on it,
Yep,
because
I'll do
we
an
only got 8 votes here, so that's not quorum, and we can't pass it right now, unfortunately. I don't think we would have to do that.
Okay, I'll get the email tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so somebody jump on second. It shouldn't take long to get to enough on it. Because I love the idea of having it be at the banquet. They'll share the date and time if they'll have us.
Yeah, I mean, like, how cool is like a 8-year-old, you get like selected from your team to go, you get to present the award, you get to have a picture of you up there, and then you get to like sit through their banquet to like see what it's like to be a varsity player.
Yeah.
Like, that kid's not quitting.
Yeah, would be very, very cool. I love it. I love it.
Brooks, you won't take a photo with them?
Phenomenal. We lucked out, we got a goalie with our group, we had 2 goalies, they loved it. So we worry about the goalies getting your thing, it was great. But, yeah, no, it's a great program, and it's I don't even wanna call it an incentive. Incentive is, it's expected of something from their coaches to really deserve since you get something back out of it. That isn't just like a, hey, here's a shirt, or here's $20 gift card, thank you. Like, hey, here's an investment back in them. And that's, to me, a big difference.
Brooks, you will not look at me. Brooks, do not smile.
As always, there's my 2 cents.
Do not smile, do not smile at me. Do not smile at me.
Motion
Motion to
to
adjourn.
not smile.
Do not look at me and smile. Do not look
Motion to
at me.
adjourn.
Sure, yeah.
Motion to
Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn.
Recognized. Second. Favor, everyone, perfect.
If there's-
Scott.